I'm Morgan Rector, host of the Human Monsters True Crime Podcast. Do you find life boring within the comfort zone? This is the right show for you. It will test your endurance. The offenders profiled are among the most inhumane. These people specialize in the unthinkable. Human Monsters, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Unforbidden.
Truth.
Unforbidden.
Truth. Podcast.
Unforbidden.
Truth. Podcast.
Welcome to Unforbidden Truth. I'm Andrew. Today I'll be speaking with convicted juvenile murderer Claudia Spicer. During the summer of 1996 through the fall of 1996, Lee Kelly lived in an apartment in Mansfield, Ohio, where he would allow teenagers to drink alcohol and smoke weed. Lee was a 28-year-old disabled unemployed man who had the unfortunate experience of being exposed to Agent Orange. It has been said, and I'm going off the State versus Spicer, 3/12/1999, Court of Appeals of Ohio. It states, in addition, Kelly had sexual relationships with appellant, co-defendants Cassandra Clark, Heather Bunn, and the victim in this case, Amanda French. Lee Kelly and Heather Bunn had been dating for 2.5 years. One day, they got into an argument about Heather's age. They also argued about Lee having a sexual relationship with Amanda French earlier in the month. After the argument occurred, Lee grabbed Heather by the neck and choked her, which ended the 2.5-year relationship. 3 days later, Lee and Amanda French had begun a sexual relationship. Claudia and Heather were best friends at the time. They had both lived together for almost a month. On November 6, 1996, Heather and Claudia drove to Lee Kelly's house to pick up Cassandra Clark. The three of them had job interviews that afternoon. When they got to the apartment, Heather began to argue with Amanda about Lee. Heather pulled Amanda by the hair from the couch, dragging her outside the apartment. Heather had punched, then pushed and poured pop on Amanda, and Claudia had spit out pop on Amanda. After this occurred, the three of them left and went to their job interviews, at which they were interviewed for and hired for. The three of them went to a Burger King, plotted on how they would get even with Amanda French. They all discussed using a gun. Heather stated that she would put the finishing touches on Amanda. The three girls then left the Burger King and went to Heather's brother's house to pick up the gun that they had planned on using on Amanda. After getting possession of the gun, they made their way to Amanda's house. Once they got into her home, Claudia called Sean McCardle, telling him to hurry up and get over to the house because she had something to tell him, which she couldn't say over the phone. When he got to the house, Claudia told him that they were going to kill Amanda, and Heather had a plan to kill her. She told him that if he went along with the plan, he didn't have to watch her die. Claudia and Heather began to discuss how they were going to lure Amanda away from Lee Kelly's apartment. They decided they would apologize to Amanda at the apartment for the earlier assault. In theory, that would gain her trust, right? After a friend by the name of Stephen Rogers agreed to help them, Heather, Cassandra, Sean, and Stephen all got into a car and headed over to Lee Kelly's apartment. After they got into the apartment, Claudia and Heather apologized to Amanda and shook her hand. Stephen was a friend of Amanda's, so he was used to lure her out of the apartment. Amanda did indeed take the bait and left the apartment with them all and got into the car with them, leaving the apartment. Claudia drove the car under the direction of Heather. Heather demanded she stop driving in a secluded area and pull the car over. Cassandra mentioned that there was a girl's bathroom somewhere close by a nearby field. As they were all walking, Heather pulled out a revolver. Claudia and Heather began to argue with Amanda when Heather said, "I am tired of talking," and hit Amanda in the back of the head with a revolver, then shooting her close range 3 times. The day after the killing took place, Claudia was arrested at the age of 16 years old. She was taken to the Richland County Juvenile Court to be tried as an adult. Claudia Spicer was convicted on all counts, receiving a sentence of 20 years to life in prison. Here's my interview with convicted juvenile offender Claudia Spicer.
Hello, this is a free call from Denise, an inmate at the Dayton Correctional Institution.
Hey, good evening.
Hey, good evening. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself? That's good. That's good. Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's start off with talking about your childhood. Where were you born?
I was born in Mansfield, Ohio, and that's where I was raised until I caught this case.
Can you recall any
I
positive?
went to,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, my father, he used to take me and my brother to the county fair a lot every time he came around or whatever. That was really good. He tried to do his best. You know, he was a little on the mean side, but he did his best that he could.
Can you recall any like positive memories that stick out from your childhood?
Um, I think when he used to, this one Christmas, he took us to the store with him. My mom was at bingo, and he took us to the store. He said, "Okay, kids," he said, "go pick your gifts, but do not tell your mom you're picking them. You didn't see nothing." And that was kind of fun because he gave us like chalkboards and bicycles and stuff that year. That was pretty good.
Can you recall any negative memories that stick out to you from your childhood?
Yeah, when he used to beat my mom pretty bad. He did that quite often.
How often would he beat your mother?
I'd say maybe twice, 3 times a month. It was pretty often.
Was there any abuse in the household towards yourself or any of your other siblings, if you had any?
I mean, we would get whooped, but as far as like him just beating us for no reason, no, we would get disciplined.
Did you suffer any type of trauma as a child?
No, just the passing of my father, and then I got attacked by a dog, and that kind of like, gave me a little medical issues growing up. But other than that, just his passing and the dog attack.
What kind of medical issues did the dog attack leave you with?
I had ended up having like 87 stitches around my right breast, and then I ended up having seizures after that, and then I had to have like CAT scans just to make sure I didn't have like epilepsy and stuff like that. And now I get migraines from it, like from all the radiation.
Ooh, how old were you when that happened?
8.
What kind of dog was it? Do you remember?
A Shar-Pei.
Do you remember? Can you recall what your behavior was like at home growing up, going back as early as you can remember?
When my dad was alive, my behavior was pretty good. I mean, I did things I probably should have did, like skateboard in the house and, silly stuff. But after he passed away, I just kind of like just did whatever I wanted to do. And my mom, she didn't take it too well. So she ended up staying out late at night, and we just, we came and went as we pleased. And my brother, he just, he did his thing in school, and I did my thing just running the streets and hanging out. But as far as getting in trouble, I really didn't get in trouble that much. Like, I didn't get in trouble with the law, but like with my mom or something, I would do something petty, like, didn't come home that night or skip school and had detention, stuff like that.
Can you recall what your behavior was like in school up until you were arrested as a juvenile in this case that you're in prison for now?
In elementary school, I was great, made good grades. Middle school, half of it was good, and then I started slacking off in the 9th grade, and I just really stopped caring. And then I started like skipping school a lot, having in-school detention, Saturday school, stuff like that. I really just didn't care anymore, I guess.
Did you engage in any type of criminal activity as a juvenile prior to the case that landed you in prison?
Just like petty theft, like stealing from stores, That's about it.
Were you ever arrested or prosecuted for any of those?
I had to be on a non-reporting probation for 6 months.
But you didn't do any like juvie time or anything like that?
No, absolutely not. No, nothing like that. No truancy charges, nothing like that.
Have you been diagnosed with any mental illnesses?
Just anxiety.
So, before we talk about your criminal convictions that you're in prison for now, Can you tell me how you met your co-defendants in this case, Cassandra Clark and Heather Bunn, as well as the victim in this case, Amanda French?
Yeah. I met Heather Bunn on a school bus when I was in middle school, and it's really funny because I was late getting to the bus, and that was the only seat open. And for whatever reason, nobody really wanted to sit with her on the bus. So I sat with her, and she wouldn't talk to me all the way home. And I'm kind of like a people person, so I like to talk. And she wouldn't talk to me, so I'm like, okay, chick, you're going to talk to me. So, like, every day, I just started sitting with her until she started talking to me. And that's how I ended up meeting her, was just on the school bus. But Cassandra Clark, I really didn't know her. That was somebody that was at Lee Kelly's apartment a lot. And as far as the victim, Amanda French, I really didn't know her. I've never had a conversation with her. I've only seen her a few times at Lee's apartment.
So this Lee Kelly, where does he fit into this case, and how did you meet him?
I met him through another friend named Carrie, and I introduced Heather to him, and we would go over there and we would skip school because he would let, like, all the kids come to his house and skip school and smoke marijuana and drink and stuff like that. And Heather ended up meeting him, and they ended up dating.
Were you or so you said that was Heather and him had been dating?
Yes.
So I read reports that Cassandra Clark, Heather Bunn, and yourself would all go over there and were romantically involved with him. Is that true?
I was never romantically involved with him. I don't know if Cassandra was, but I know for sure that Heather was.
Okay. So can you walk me through the events that led up to the homicide of Amanda French in November of 1996?
I know that I was suspended from school that day, and I was at Heather's brother's house because I didn't want to stay at my house because I didn't want Mom to find out I was suspended. And we had job interviews at a toy warehouse, and Heather had came to pick me up, and we had to end up going to Lee's house to get Cassandra. Well, when Cassandra came downstairs, she was crying. And Heather had asked her why she was crying, and she had said because her and Amanda had just got into it at Lee's house. So Heather circled back, went up there, got Amanda, brought her out, and was arguing with her about something. I really didn't pay that much attention to what they was doing because we was all outside, and I was like talking to somebody else over here while they was over there arguing. And then we left, got the job interviews, went out for dinner. And then Heather just kept talking about how angry she was, and she just said, I'm so mad I could just kill her. But Heather was 17 and I was 16. I really didn't take anything she said serious. Like, for her to say, oh, I'm so mad I can kill her, that was just a figure of speech. I never took her serious that she'd actually do something like that because I've known her for many years, and she's never even been into a fight. So for her to actually shoot and kill somebody, it was really a surprise to me, to be honest. So we went to this hangout spot that teenagers usually just go to, and one thing led to another, and they started arguing. I went to go walk away. I heard a gunshot. I turned around. I see Amanda. She was falling to the ground. She started screaming. I took off running, and then I heard two more shots. I didn't turn back around. I just went back to the car.
Was there any conversation once everybody got back to the car?
The conversation, I just know that when I got back to the car, Sean was in the driver's seat and Stefan was in the back. I got in. I told Sean to go, and he said no, he wasn't leaving them there. So he waited for them to get back to the car. They got in, and they said that Heather said, thank God, the bitch is dead, but I don't remember that. I don't know if it's because I don't remember because I was just so in shock that I really just didn't understand what was happening around me at the time. I just know I just wanted to leave. And then when we was like, we was probably like 10 minutes into the drive back, and I remember saying, like, can we go back to see she's okay? And they just said, no, just go. And I don't remember anything else being said in that car. I just know that Heather said, take me to my brother's. And that's where we ended up at.
And how long after that were all of you arrested?
I was arrested, I would say the next evening around 4:30ish. Now, Heather and them, I don't know what time they was arrested because they ended up leaving my house. And I didn't even know they was even gone. I know that night I ended up leaving with another friend. And I went out, it was me, Sean, and my friend Mike. And we ended up leaving. And I know that I was trying to find that girl to see if she was okay, but I couldn't remember where she was at. So we ended up coming back to my house. It was probably about 6 or 7 in the morning. And then I remember there to be a whole bunch of people in my house. I just went in my bedroom. I shut my door. I remember laying down. And the next thing I remember, I just woke up and it was like 4:30 and wasn't nobody there. Like everybody had just disappeared.
And so you said later on that evening that's when you were arrested?
Yeah, the next day.
So were you charged as an adult then as a juvenile?
Yes. Yes, I was charged as an adult.
So what was your experience like as a juvenile offender, being charged as an adult, being housed with other women, facing felony charges, 18 years and up?
Well, when I went to the county, they had me and my co-defendant in a pod by ourselves because for whatever reason they still couldn't house us with the adult offenders. So once I came to prison, I was in admissions with everybody. It was old people, it was juveniles, it was young people, it was just a whole bunch of people. And it was a little scary. Like I had like 47-year-olds try to have sex with me, and it was a little scary to me. And then once I got out to population, I went to a juvenile cottage because I was under the age of 18. So I had to stay there until I turned 21.
So were you offered any type of plea deals while you were on trial?
Yes, I was offered a 6-year plea deal.
A 6-year prison sentence?
Yes.
And how come why was that rejected?
I turned it down. I turned it down because they wanted me to basically tell on my best friend, and I guess when I was that young, like telling on her, like I didn't see her do it because when I left, there was still 3 of them standing there. I didn't see her do it, but even though that I know that she did it, I just feel like I couldn't bring myself to tell on her because she always kept saying, "Denise, you're all I have. You're all I have." And she says, "I'm going to be okay as long as you're with me." And I guess after my mom had disappeared for a little bit, I guess, and then my brother moved to Columbus to go to OSU, it's just like that she was like really all I had. So she became like part of my family, and I just don't feel like I didn't want to tell on her at that point in time. I thought I was doing the right thing, I guess.
And did she have the opportunity to tell on you?
They didn't call her back to my trial. I don't even know if they even offered her a plea deal. But my lawyer had her down as a witness to come back and testify on my behalf, but for whatever reason, he never called her to the stand.
Did you have any contact with your co-defendants while you were on trial?
No, just the co-defendant that I had. I was in the same pod with her, Heather.
So after you were convicted on all counts and you received a 20 to life prison sentence, what was your overall reaction to that?
It was really disbelief. Like, I was like, 23 to life. I was like, whoa, that was a lot. I mean, I know that I deserve some time. Absolutely. But, I mean, I got the same amount of time as the killer did, as a shooter. And then it's like my other co-defendants, like, one got a 5-year probation and one got a 6-month juvenile rehab detention center. One got 5 years. I got 23 to life, and the shooter got 23 to life. And I was just like in disbelief, like, you got to be kidding me. Like, that's I couldn't even see 23 years. I was only 16, and I'm like, I haven't been alive that long. But here it is.
So after you have been convicted and sentenced to prison, do you remember what that first bus ride was like?
Well, I do. I remember sitting in the, well, it was called the hole then, I guess. I wasn't in the hole, but they just kept me in the hole because I was about to be transferred, so they didn't want to clean out a whole pod at the county. So I remember sitting there, and they said, Spicer, you're riding out today. I was like, oh, okay, I'm all right with that. I'm ready to get out of here. I'm ready to get it started, you know. So they came and got me. They dressed me out in orange jumpsuit, shackles, and I remember they put me back in the squad car. There was only me they was transferring. And I remember the lady that took me there, her name was Kim Bryant. She was a sheriff. And I remember just looking out the window, and I was just like, this is it. And then when I got to ORW, they had made us, you know, go in there, sit on a bench and make a shower and, you know, shampoo our hairs and then make us squat and cough and spread your cheeks. And I'm like, oh, whoa, this is too much. This is, how many times a day we got to do this? And then we just had to wait for intake.
So how do you spend your time on a day-to-day basis these days?
Well, now I'm enrolled in Sinclair Community College. I'm working on 2 degrees at this time in social services and supply chain. I have a degree from Ashland University in general studies. I'm a head porter in the unit. I facilitate programming, and I partake in programming.
What type of programming is there that you partake in?
Right now, I'm doing the reintegration program, and they offer classes on how to get a job and keep it. They offer manners, self-esteem, like a self-development program, more or less, like trying to reinvent yourself and try to retrain your brain a little bit.
Are those classes available to all offenders or only offenders that have an eventual parole date or a release date?
All the offenders.
Do you feel...
I graduate. I mean, I've completed so many certificates here. I've done a lot of programming.
Do you feel like you're ready to be released back into society right now?
Yes. Yes.
Do you have any plans should you be paroled one day sooner than later?
Yes, I'd like to go to a halfway house, and I want to transition to a halfway house so that way I can, like, ease my way back into society because, you know, you think 96, 2022, you know, I don't even really know how to use a cell phone. You know, my cell phone had, like, a flippy and a antenna, and I just really want to transition myself back into society. When I get out, I really don't care what kind of job I have as long as I have a job. I would like to have 2 jobs just to get on my feet and save enough money. My goals is to work with the troubled youth. I want to be a juvenile counselor. I want to go into high school to be a motivational speaker to tell the young kids, like, hey, you know, this can happen, and this is what can happen. One thing can change your life forever. And I just want them to know their surroundings and stuff like that. And then one day I want to own my own food truck. I think that'd be interesting.
Do you have any regrets in life looking back?
Yeah. Yes, I do. I regret this case, of course. I just regret that girl lost her life. It makes me sad because I didn't know her. And I just don't know I didn't know any type of like her background, where she came from. I really don't know that much about her, but I just think about her, and I just wonder, like, what she could have done, and would I have met her, like, in a different, situation? Like, why was our paths meant to cross, and why was it so negative that he did? I just regret sitting on the bus that day.
So, before we conclude this interview, is there anything that you'd like to talk about that we haven't covered yet?
I just want, juveniles to know that this is real. And it's hard in prison when you're a juvenile and you're waiting for all these adults, because the COs and stuff, they don't treat you any different than an adult offender. Like, I've been to segregation, and that has really taken a toll on me mentally, being locked in a room by myself for 24 hours a day with no contact, no phone, no TV, no radio, no nothing. And I just wanted to know, like, it's real. Like, know your surroundings. Like, find somebody that you can talk to, and just, try to live your life as a kid before it's taken away.
That was my interview with Claudia Spicer. To stay up to date on everything Unforbidden Truth, head on over to unforbiddentruthpodcast.com, bookmark it, come check in from time to time. I try to update from time to time with what I have going on and what's to come in the near future, as well as scheduling live interviews via YouTube and other recording sessions. Thank you for listening. See you on the next one.
Unforbidden.
Truth. Unforbidden. Truth. Podcast.
Unforbidden.
Truth. Podcast.